Good evening. I hope everyone's having a good night. This is an 18 plus only stream. If you ain't 18, bedtime. So, hope y'all are having a very, very good Veterans Day. Here I am. Make sure that the volume is down. Some music going. Just something light. Hello, 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 hello. Or should I say, good evening? Oh my gosh, so bright. I don't know what just happened. I got messages that they disagree about this one with your photo. So tonight I have, I'm just going to go ahead and say, Lorna Doone is very much, if you want to read it, you can read it. Because I can't do broken English. And I definitely can't do, like, Irish accents. So Lorna Doone, that's a read on your own, so I hope you enjoyed the first 4, because I'm not fighting it. I hope y'all are having a very wonderful Veterans Day night. Veterans Day. To all my veterans out there. I got tea tonight instead of coffee. That stuff really wound me up. I stayed up way too late last night. Way too late. It's okay. It was rough waking up this morning. I literally woke up not even 10 minutes before I went live. So it shows you how late I was. Alright, so I have 2 options. I have the Dark Highlander, or I have the Kiss of the Highlander. Both written by Karen Marie Moning. Karen Marie Moning. So they're both written by that. So you guys choose Dark Highlander or the Kiss of the Highlander. And I'll read it for you. If you'd like, if you can't watch the stream, you can go ahead and listen in. Let me try that. See if I can get this to work. It's like, I don't ever turn it on. I guess I aggravated the other day because my Snapchat got deleted and then I got locked out. Get some new goodies in the store, which was fun. And some more Thanksgiving stuff to put up while we wait for an answer. These are so just goodness. They're so old. I don't remember the last time I had them. Let me see. Hot tub stream. Unfortunately, I don't have a hot tub in my cabin. And thank you. Ta-da! How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful night. So I have two choices. One is the Dark Highlander, and the other one is the Kiss of the Highlander. Which one would you like to hear me read? I have a cell phone. Okay. Is that better? Maybe it's something else. I'm not sure. Is that better? A little bit better. Just a little. I can barely see the chat box. I'm gonna make this other thing. I need like official glasses, not reading glasses. Or bifocals at this point. Gosh, I'm so old. Is that better? I think it's because I turned on this other phone. Yeah, it's probably that's what it is. Because this one's annoying. Sorry. I'm gonna also watch the Facebook stream. That might also be it too. Most likely it's this stupid phone because I don't ever turn it on. But yeah, you guys are on my Snapchat. I apologize. My Snapchat got deleted. Alright, two choices. Dark or Kiss? Which one are we reading tonight? Well, not tonight. It's going to take a couple readings. Let me know. Alright, so here, how about this? I'll read the preface for each, and then you can decide which one you want to hear. Let's just explain that one. Blah, 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 blah. She's got the Alright. First prologue. In a place difficult for humans to find a man of sorts. It amused him to go by the name Adam Black among mortals. Approached a silk canopied dais and knelt before his queen. My queen, the compact is broken. Ametuer, queen of Tuatha de Danann, was silent for a long time. When finally she turned to her consort, her voice dripped ice. Summon the council. So that's the Dark Highlander prologue. First prologue. Is there a second one? There is a second one. What do you know? Alright. Probably should turn this other light on. Second prologue. Thousands of years before the birth of Christ, there was settled in Ireland a race called the Tuatha de Danann, who, over time, became known as the true race of the fairy. In advanced civilizations from a faraway world, Tuatha de Danann educated some of the more promising humans they encountered in druid ways. For a time of man and fairy shared the earth in peace, but sadly, bitter dissension arose between them, and the Tuatha de Danann decided to move on. Legends claim that they were driven under the hills into the fairy mounds. The truth is that they never left our world, but held on to the fantasy court in places difficult for humans to find. After the Tuatha De Danann left, the human druids warred among themselves, splintering into fractions. 13 of them turned to dark ways, and thanks what the Tuatha De Danann had taught them, nearly destroyed the earth. So that's the first one. That's the dark one, if you want to hear that. And the Kiss of the Highland. This one I think I like a little bit more. My personal favorite. And you'll find out why here in a second. Look at me, Gwendolyn. Gwen, she snapped. Gwen. He acquiesced right before he kissed her. Heat lightning, she thought. His touch is electrifying. Attraction sizzled between them, and she knew he felt it too, because he knew he drew back and looked at her strangely. Then, nudging her lips apart with his thumb, he opened her mouth and brushed his lips back and forth over hers. Yes, she thought, this is what I want. She slid her hands up the rippling muscles of his arms, over his shoulders, then locked them firmly behind his neck. She hasn't gone to Scotland, fallen in a hole and met a madman. She died and gone to heaven. He closed his hands on her waist and then slid them upward as he deepened the kiss. Hey, Maxie! Morris! Hello! What do you think? This one? That's super shiny. Kiss of the Highlander. I think I'm gonna run with that one. Since y'all won't tell me which one you want to hear. I don't think you really care what I read as long as I read, right? Alright. Definitely need light of some sort. I'm just reading this one. This is my favorite. It's official. Oh, Lord. Where's the actual book? I keep getting like prologue pieces. Alright. Chapter 1 of Kiss of the Highlander. This dark one can go away. Goodbye. Hey, Maxie. Alright. T, where'd I put you? Okay. Sorry. Chapter 1 Highlands of Scotland, September 19th, present day. So a couple months ago. Oh, whatever. Gwen Cassidy needed a man. Desperately. Failing that, she'd settle for a cigarette. God, I hate my life, she thought. I don't even know who I am anymore. Sounds like me. Glancing around the crowded interior of the tour bus, Gwen took a deep breath and rubbed the nicotine patch under her arm. After this fiasco, she deserved a cigarette, didn't she? Except for when she managed to escape the horrid bus and find a pack. She was afraid she might expire from nicotine overdose when she smoked one. The patch made her feel shaky and ill. Perhaps before quitting she would have waited until she found her cherry picker, she mused. It wasn't as if she was drawing them like flies to honey to her current mood. Her virginity was hardly presented in the best light, when she kept snarling at every man that she met. She leaned back against the cracked seat, wincing when the bus hit a pothole, caused the wiry coils of the seat to dig into her shoulder blade. Even the smooth, mysterious slate-gray surface of the Loch Ness behind the rattling window that wouldn't stay closed when it rained, it wouldn't stay open otherwise, failed to intrigue her. "Gwen, are you feeling all right?" Bert Hardy asked kindly from across the aisle. Gwen peered at Bert through the Jennifer Aniston. Wait, through her Jennifer Aniston fringed bangs, expensively beveled to attract her own Brad Pitt. Right now they are simply tickling her nose and annoying her. Bert had proudly informed her when they'd begun the tour a week ago that he was 73 and sex had never been better. That said, whilst patting the hand of the newlywed, plump and blushing bride, Beatrice, Gwen had smiled politely and congratulated them. And since the mild show of interest had become a doting couple's favorite young American lassie. I'm fine, Bert, she assured him, wondering where he had found the lemon polyester shirt and the golf turf green trousers that clashed painfully with his white leather dress shoes and tartan socks. Completing the rainbow ensemble, a red wool cardigan that was neatly buttoned about his paunch. You don't look so well there, dearie, Beatrice fretted, adjusting the wide-brimmed straw hat atop her soft silvery blue curls. A little green about the gills. It's just a bumpy ride, Beatrice. Well, we're nearly to the village. You must have a bite to eat with us before we go sightseeing, Bert said firmly. We can go to see that house, you know, the one where the sorcerer Aleister Crowley used to live. They say it's haunted, he confided, wiggling bushy white brows. Gwen nodded apathetically. She knew that it was futile to protest, because although she suspected Beatrice might have taken pity on her, Bert was determined to ensure that he had fun. It had taken her only a few days to figure out that she would never have embarked upon this ridiculous quest. Okay. It looked like my Facebook had gone dead, and I've been having a lot of issues with my internet lately, so bear with me. Let's see. Oh, cutie, you're so funny. That's awesome. Boo. Robbie Walker, how are you tonight? That's funny. I like that cutie. Alright. I don't even know where I was at now. Alright, so. Okay. But back home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, as she peered out the window of her cubicle at the Allstate Insurance Company, arguing with yet another insured who who'd managed to amass an astounding $9,827 worth of chiropractic bills from an accident that had caused a mere $127 in damage to his rear bumper. But the idea of being in Scotland, or anywhere else for that matter, had been irresistible. So, she'd let a travel agent convince her that a 14-day tour through a romantic Highlands and lowlands of Scotland was just what she needed at the bargain price of $999. The price was acceptable. The mere thought of doing something so impulsive that terrified her, and precisely what she needed to shake up her life. She should have known that the 14 days in Scotland for $1,000 had to be a senior citizen's bus tour, and she'd been so frantic to escape the drudgery and emptiness of her life that she had only cursorily glanced through the interior itinerary and not given her possible traveling companions a second thought. Okay, cutie, have a good night. Oh, hold on. I'm so sorry. Shout out to Adorkable Mandy on IG. Check her out. She's actually really cool. Yes, I was having sound issues. I apologize. Yes, I can see the messages now. And thank you for watching. Okay. You guys are enjoying this as much as I am. Okay. So, 38 senior citizens ranging in age from 32 to 89 chatted, laughed, and embraced each new village pub bow movement with boundless enthusiasm. And she knew that when they returned home, that they would play cards and regale in their elderly and envious friends with endless anecdotes. She wondered what stories they would tell about the 25-year-old virgin that had traveled with them. Prickly as a porcupine, stupid enough to try to give up smoking while taking the first real vacation in her life, and simultaneously trying to divest herself of her virginity. She sighed. The seniors really weren't that sweet. Oh, the seniors really were sweet, but sweet wasn't what she was looking for. She was looking for passionate, heart-pounding sex. Sex that was down and dirty, wild and sweaty and hot. Lately she ached for something that she couldn't even put a name to, something that made her restless and anxious when she watched the Tech Kingdom on her favorite star-crossed lover's quest, Lady Hawk. Where she's still alive, her mother, renowned physicist Dr. Elizabeth Cassidy, would assure her that it was nothing more than a biological urge programmed into her genes. Following in her mother's footsteps, Gwen had majored in physics, then worked briefly as a research assistant at the Triton Corps while completing her PhD before a great fit of rebellion had landed her at Oxford. Sometimes, sorry. Sometimes when her head had been swimming with equations, she'd wondered if her mother wasn't right. If there was all there was to life to be explained by genetic programming and science. I'm trying to get a good light on this. Popping in a piece of gum into her mouth, Gwen stared out the window. She certainly wasn't going to find her cherry picker on this bus, nor had she entertained even the modium of success in the prior villages. She had to do something soon, because if she hadn't, she would end up going back home no different than she arrived. And frankly, that thought was more terrifying than the idea of seducing a man that she hardly knew. Making it hard to sleep, huh? I can't. Trust me, I've tried. Thank you. Thank you, Crispy. Alright, that's what Let's see. The bus lurched to a halt, pitching Gwen forward. She struck her mouth on the metal frame of the seat in front of her. She cast an irate glance at the rotund, bald bus driver. Nothing against bald people. You had to. Just saying. And especially if you have a receding hairline. Just so you know. Wondering how old folks always seem to anticipate the sudden stop, when she never could. Were they simply more cautious with their brittle bones, strapped into the seats better? In cahoots with the ancient, portly driver? She dug in her backpack and compact, and sure enough, her lower lip was already swelling. Hello, Robert Knox. Welcome. Trying to make sure I'm keeping up with this comment. Yes, I do, my dear Christy. Let's check it out. Alright. And hopefully soon I can get a photo shoot going with it. It's been a while. I've been sick. If you haven't already known, I've been sick with COVID for a while. So. Yes, a modern romance novel. How about that? That's new, right? But yes, Christy, I do. Make sure to check it out. And share with your friends. Her lower lip was swelling. Well, maybe that will entice him in, she thought, poking it out a little more. And she dutifully followed Bert and Beatrice off of the bus and into the sunny morning. Sucker lips. Didn't men fixate on plump lips? I can't, Bert, she said. When the kindly man tucked in her arm in his, I need to be alone a little while, she added apologetically. Is your lip swollen again, dear? Bert frowned. Don't you wear your seatbelt? Are you sure you're okay? Gwen ignored the first two questions. I'm fine. I just want to go for a walk and gather my thoughts. Trying not to notice that Beatrice was regarding her from beneath the wide brim of her hat and in the unnerving intensity of a woman who had survived multiple tortures. Yes. Right here. Awesome sauce, Christy. Oh, really? We'll see. So, I always end up losing my spot. It's all good. Use that special spot and then you end up flying again. Yep, there we go. Okay. Sure enough, Beatrice pushed Bert toward the front of the steps of the inn. You go on, Bertie, she told her new husband. We girls need to chat at the moment. While her husband disappeared into the quaint thatch-roofed inn, Beatrice guided Gwen to a stone bench and pulled her down beside her. There is a man for you, Gwen Cassidy, Beatrice said. Gwen's eyes widened. How do you know what I'm looking for? Beatrice smiled, corn blue eyes crinkling in her plump face. You listen to Beatrice, dear. Fling caution to the wind. If I were your age and looked like you, I'd be shaking my bum-bum everywhere that I went. Bomb. Gwen's eyebrows rose. Petunia, dear. Booty behind. Beatrice said with a wink. Get out of here and find a man of your own. Don't let us spoil your trip dragging you about. You don't need old folks like us around you. You need a strapping young man to sweep you off your feet and keep you off of them for a good long while, she said meaningfully. But I can't find a man, Beatrice. Gwen blew out a frustrated breath. I've been searching for my cherry picker for months now. Cherry, oh! Beatrice's round shoulders, swathed in the pink wool and pearls, shook with laughter. Very white, Beatrice. Alright. Gwen winced. Oh God, how embarrassing. I can't believe I just said that. That's just what I started calling him in my mind. Because I'm the oldest living virgin, Beatrice supplied helpfully with another laugh. Mm-hmm. Doesn't a pretty young woman like you have a man back home? This story is really good so far. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's only like, I don't know, forever long, but it's getting there. Gwen sighed. In the past 6 months, I've dated oodles of men. She trailed off after her prominent parents had been killed in a plane crash in March. Returning from a conference in Hong Kong, she turned into a veritable dating machine. Her only relatives, her grandfather and her father's side, had Alzheimer's and hadn't recognized her in forever. Lately, Gwen felt like a last Mohican, wandering about, desperate for some place to call home. Man, living something. And? Beatrice prodded. And I'm not a virgin because I'm trying to be. Gwen said grumpily. I can't find a man that I want, and I'm beginning to think that the problem is me. Maybe I expect too much. Maybe I'm holding out for something that doesn't even exist. Wow, I've actually written those words. She's voiced her secret fear. Maybe grand passion was just a dream. With all the kissing she'd done in the past few months, she had not once been overcome with desire. Her parents certainly hadn't had any great passion between them. Come to think of it, she wasn't sure if she ever seen grand passion outside of a movie theater or a book. Oh, dearie, don't think that, Beatrice exclaimed. You're too young and lovely to give up hope. You never know when Mr. Right might walk in. Just look at me, she said with a self-depreciating laugh. Over the hill, overweight, in a dwindling market of men. I'm resigned myself to being a widow. I'd been alone for many years, and then one sunny morning my birdie waltzed into the little diner on Elm Street, where the girls and I breakfast every Thursday. And I fell for him harder than that fat lady at the circus takes a tumble. Dreamy as a young girl again, fussing with my hair, and I even bought a few things from Victoria's Secret. She lowered her voice and winked. You know, you've got hanky-panky on your mind when you perfectly respectable white bras and panties won't do anymore, and you find yourself buying the pink ones, the lilac ones, or lime green and the like. Gwen cleared her throat and shifted uncomfortably, wondering if her lilac bra showed through her white tank top. But Beatrice was oblivious, chatting away. And I tell you, Bertie certainly wasn't what I thought I wanted in a man. I always thought that I liked simple, honest, hard-working men. I never thought I'd get involved with a dangerous man like my Bertie, she confided. Her smile turned tender and dreamy. He was in the CIA for 30 years before he retired. You should hear some of his stories. Thrilling. Positively thrilling. Hope y'all are enjoying this because it's interesting. Alright, Just checking my message. Make sure nobody's texting me. Kind of got into that for a second. Gwen gaped. Birdie was CIA? Rainbow Birdie? You can't judge the contents of the package by the wrapper, dearie, Beatrice said, patting her cheek. And one more piece of advice. Don't be in too much of a rush to give it away, Gwen. Find a man who is worthy. Find a man you want to talk with into the wee hours. A man you can argue with when necessary. And a man who makes you sizzle when he touches you. Sizzle, Gwen repeated doubtfully. Trust me. When it's right, you'll know, Beatrice said, beaming. You'll feel it. You won't be able to walk away from it. Satisfied that she had said her piece, Beatrice planted a pink lipstick kiss on Gwen's cheek, then rose, smoothing her sweater over her hips before disappearing into the gaily painted inn. Gwen watched her retreat in thoughtful silence. Beatrice Hardy, aged 69 and a good 50 pounds overweight, walked with confidence, glided with the grace of a woman half her size, swayed her ample bottom and serenely displayed her cleavage. In fact, she walked like she was beautiful. Worthy. At this point, Gwen Cassidy would settle for a man who wouldn't require a stiff dose of Viagra. Nothing against that, by the way. Gwen paused to rest atop a small mountain of rocks she climbed. After discovering she couldn't check into her room at the inn until after 4 o'clock, and firm in her resolve to not march into the nearest shop and buy a pack of the word she wasn't saying anymore. Sizzle. Yeah, that's a good word, isn't it? And I don't know why it makes me think of those little hot plates that go across to the restaurant. Like, yeah. I'm so silly. Okay. Now I done lost my spot again. She grabbed her backpack and an apple and trotted off into the hills for an introspective hike. The hills above Loch Ness were dotted with outcroppings of stone, and the group of rocks upon which she stood extended for nearly half a mile, rising in breakneck hills and falling jagged ravines. It had been a tough climb, and she relished the exercise of being cooped up in the stale air of the bus for so long. There was no denying that Scotland was lovely. She tromped gingerly through the patches of hawthorn, skirted prickly thistles, paused to admire rowan trees, bright red berries, kicked about a few spiky green horse chestnuts that heralded autumn with their rumble to the ground. For the tumble to the ground. She stood long moments admiring a field across leaved heath that ascended and blended with the hillside of purple-pink heather. She and a dainty red deer had spooked each other, and she had passed through the woodland clearing in which it grazed. I feel like my lung is twitching. This stuff's rough, but I don't know who gets it. Sure. Crispy, you still with me? Okay. Peace had settled over her. The higher she hiked into the lush meadows and rocky hills, Far beneath her, Loch Ness stretched, 24 miles long, over a mile wide, and in places 1,000 feet deep, or so said the brochure that she had read on the bus, highlighting the fact that the Loch Ness never froze in the winter because of its pury, slightly acid content. The loch was a huge, silvery, mirror shimmering beneath the cloudless sky. Let me read that again. The loch was a huge, silvery mirror shimmering beneath the cloudless sky. The sun had nearly its zenith, marked the approaching noon hour, and felt delicious on her skin. The weather had been unusually warm for the past few days, and she planned to take advantage of it. She flopped down on a flat rock and stretched out, soaking up the sunshine. Her group was scheduled to remain in the village until 7:30 the following morning, so she had ample time to relax and enjoy nature before reboarding the tour bus from hell. Really? Although she had never met an eligible prospect up here in the foothills, at least there were no phones ringing, with the irate ensured on the other end, and no senior citizens casting nosy glances her way. She knew that they gossiped about her. The old folks talked about everything. She suspected that they were making up for all the times that they had held their tongues when they were young, invoking the impunity of advanced age. I don't know if it's this book or like, I don't know. I don't have the heat on. I don't want to throw the fan on. It's like a decent, comfortable temperature in here right now. I feel like it might be this book. It's a little dusty. What relief it would be to say exactly what she thought for a change. And what would you say, Gwen? I'm lonely, she muttered softly. I would say that. I'm lonely, and I'm damn tired of pretending that everything is fine. How she wished something exciting would happen. It just figured that the one time she tried to make something happen, she ended up on a senior citizens tour bus. She may as well face it. She was doomed to live a dry, uneventful, and lonely life. That sounds like my luck. It really does. It sounds like my luck. Eyes shut against the bright rays, she groped for her backpack to get her sunglasses, but misjudged the distance and knocked the bag off the rock. She heard it bounce amid the clatter of loose stones for several moments, and then protracted silence. Finally, a solid thump. She done dropped the backpack off the side of a cliff. I'd be so like, that's my luck. Yep, that's my luck. Like, now I gotta go climb down there to go get this backpack. Yay. Then I won't be able to get back up because I'm lazy. I can't climb. Yes, to answer your question. Yes. As long as I'm not like coughing every 5 minutes from dust coming from it, I'm good. I might have to make some more tea on that. Hope y'all are enjoying this as much as I am. Brandon Tucker! America's heartthrob has joined us for the evening. I'm reading a story. You want to hear it? It's an adult romance story. Let's go, Brandon! Let me get some funny people pissed off. Oh well. Alright. Where was I? Tucking her fringed bangs behind one ear, she sat up to see where it had fallen. She was dismayed to discover that it had tumbled off the rock down the gully and to the bottom of a narrow, forbidding precipice. She moved to the lip of the aperture, eyeing it warily. Her patches were in her pack, and she certainly couldn't be expected to remain in none of the woods that she was thinking about something to take the edge off. Gouging the depth of the rocky cleft to be no more than 25 or 30 feet, she decided she was capable of retrieving it. I'm full of it. Listen, when you got old ladies at the store saying thank you for the eye candy, yeah, I wasn't wrong. Thank you. So hush. And enjoy the fact that you're eye candy. So, okay. She had no alternative, and she had to go down after it. Lowering herself over the edge, she felt for toeholds. The hiking boots she had laced on that morning had rugged, gripping soles that had made the descent a little easier. However, a rough stone grazed her bare leg. She found herself wishing she had worn jeans instead of her favorite pair of khaki shorts that were so in vogue. I am not wrong. Thank you. Don't forget leg day, okay? Her lacy white tank top was comfortable for hiking, but the faded denim button down she had tied around her waist just kept getting tangled about her legs, so she paused a moment to untie it and left it walk down to her backpack. Once she reached the bottom, she tucked it in her pack before climbing back up. So many messages. Just saying. Well, at least she made it back up. It was slow, strenuous going, but half her life was in that pack, and it was arguably the better half. Cosmetics, hairbrush, toothpaste, floss, panties, and other items that she had wanted on her person in case her luggage got lost. Oh, admit it, Gwen, she thought. You could live without that pack for weeks. The sun beat down on her shoulders as she descended, and she started to sweat. He figured that the sun had shined directly into the crack at that moment, and thought irritably. Half an hour or earlier it wouldn't have penetrated there. Near the bottom, she slipped and inadvertently kicked her bag, wedging it firmly at the bottom of the narrow crevice. Squinting up at the sun, she muttered, "Come on! I'm trying to quit smoking down here. You could help me at any time now." Sounds like me talking to myself all the time. I am not wrong, Brandon Sucker. Listen here. How about enough of your nonsense? Just enjoy it. Easing herself down the last few feet, she placed one foot on the ground. There! She had made it. Hardly enough room to turn around in a tight space, but she was there. Lowering her other foot, Gwen grabbed her button down and stretched her fingers towards the strap of her pack. When the ground gave way at her feet, it was so sudden and unexpected, she scarcely had time to gasp before she plunged through the rocky bottom of the crevice. We all kind of want to punch through the rocky bottom of the crevice, but I'm just saying. She fell for the terrifying few seconds. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even read that. Let me try that again. She fell for a terrifying few seconds, then landed with such a force that the impact knocked the air from her lungs. Oof. Just double checking. As she struggled to draw a breath, crushed rock and dirt showered her where she lay. Adding insult to injury, the backpack fell through the hole after her and thumped her in the shoulder before rolling off into the darkness. She finally managed a rugged breath, spit hair and dirt from her mouth, and mentally assessed her condition before attempting to move. I've been there before. She had fallen hard and felt bruised from head to toe. Her hands were bleeding from her panic attempt to catch herself, and she had plunged through the jagged opening, but blessedly it didn't appear she had broken any bones. Gingerly she turned her head and gazed up at the hole through which she had fallen. A stubborn ray of sunshine filtered down on her. I will not panic. But the hole was an impossible distance above her head. Worse still, she'd not passed any other hikers during her climb. She might yell herself hoarse, yet never be found. Shaking off a nervous shiver, she peered into the gloom. A shadowy blackness of a wall loomed a few yards away. She could hear the faint trickle of water off in the distance. Obviously, she had fallen into an underground cavern of sorts. The pamphlet said nothing of any caves near Loch Ness. She pouted. Although ceased abruptly, she realized that whatever she was laying upon was not a rock or soil. Stunned by the abrupt fall, she naturally assumed she landed on a hard floor of a cavern, but while it was hard, it was certainly not cold. Warm, rather. And given that until a few moments ago no sunlight had penetrated this place, what were the odds that something could be warm in this cool, damp cave? Swallowing hard, she remained utterly still, trying to decide what she was laying on without actually looking at it. She nudged it with a hip bone and it gave slightly and did not feel like soil. I am going to be sick, she thought. This feels like a person. Had she fallen into an old burial chamber? But then, wouldn't it be nothing but bones? As she debated further movement, the sun reached its zenith, and a brilliant shaft of sunlight bathed the spot where she had fallen. Summoning all her courage, she forced herself to look down. Gwen screamed. I would like to know what you guys think that she landed on. Oops, I landed on it. How do you trip and land on something like that? I don't know, I'm just clumsy like that. Hopefully it's very nice and comfy and warm where you are. Tight spot, really. She'd fallen on a body, one that considering she hadn't disturbed it, Must be dead. Oh, she worried. Perhaps I killed them when I fell. When she managed to stop screaming, she found that she'd pushed herself up and was straddling it. Her palms braced on its chest. Not its chest, she realized, but his chest. The motionless figure beneath her was undeniably male. Sinfully male. She snatched her hands away and sucked in a shock of breath. However, he'd managed to get here, if he was dead. His demise had only been quite recent. He was in perfect condition, and her hands crept back to his chest, warm. He had the sculpted physique of a professional football player, with wide shoulders, pumped biceps and pecs, and washboard abs. His hips beneath her were lean and powerful. Strange. Sorry. Strange symbols were tattooed across his bare chest. She took slow, deep breaths to ease the sudden tightness in her chest. Leaning cautiously forward, she peered at a face that was savagely beautiful. He was about the type of dominant male virility women dreamed about in dark, erotic fantasies, but knew didn't really exist. Black lashes swept his golden skin beneath arched brows and silky fall of long black hair. His jaw was dusted with a blue-black shadow beard. His lips were pink and firm and sensually full. She brushed her finger against them, then felt mildly perverse. So she pretended she was just checking to see if he was alive and shook him. But he didn't respond. Cupping his nose with her hand, she was relieved to find a soft puff of breath. He isn't dead. Thank God. It made her feel better about finding him so attractive. Palm flushed to his chest, she was further reassured by his strong heartbeat. Oh man, I tell you what, that would get me. Of anything else in this entire thing, that would get me. Something about heartbeats, I don't know, I'm weird. Although it wasn't beating very often, at least it was. He must be deeply unconscious, perhaps in a coma, she decided. Whichever it was, he couldn't help her. Her gaze darted back up to the hole. Even if the man managed to wake him, even if she managed to wake him and then stood on his shoulder, she still wouldn't be near the lip of the hole. Sunshine steamed over her face, mocking her with a freedom that was so near, yet so impossibly far, and she shivered again. Just what am I supposed to do now? She muttered. Despite the fact that he was unconscious and of no use, her gaze swept back down. He exuded such vitality that in his condition baffled her. She couldn't decide if she was upset that he was unconscious or relieved. What if his looks were surely a womanizer? Just the kind of man she steered away from by instinct. Having grown up surrounded by scientists, she had no experience with men of the like. On the rare occasions she glimpsed at a man. Like him sauntering out of the Gold's Gym, she gawked oh my gosh, this word I can't say. Surreptitiously, whatever. Gratefully that was safely in her car. So much testosterone made her nervous. It couldn't possibly be healthy. Cherry picker extraordinaire. The thought caught her off guard. Mortified, she berated herself because he was injured, and there she was, sitting on him, thinking, thinking luscious thoughts. I don't think that's right. No. She pondered the possibility that she had developed some kind of hormone imbalance, perhaps surfeit of perky little eggs. She eyed the designs on the man's chest more closely, wondering if one of them had concealed a wound. The strange symbols, unlike any tattoos that she had ever seen, were smeared with the blood of abrasions on her palm. Gwen leaned back a few inches so a ray of sunshine spilled across his chest, and she studied him. A curious thing happened. The brightly colored designs blurred before her eyes, growing indistinct, as if they were fading, leaving only streaks of her blood to mar his muscled chest. But that wasn't possible. Gwen blinked as if undeniably several symbols disappeared entirely. In a matter of moments all of them were gone, vanished as if they never existed. Perplexed, she glanced up at his face and snuck in an unastonished breath. His eyes were open, and he was watching her. He had remarkable eyes that glittered like shards of silver and ice, sleeping eyes that banked a touch of amusement and unmistakably masculine interest. He stretched his body beneath hers with the self-indulgent grace of a cat prolonging the pleasure of awakening, and she suspected that although he was rousing physically, his mental acuity was not fully engaged. His pupils were large and dark, as if he had recently had his eyes dilated for an exam or taken some drugs. Oh God, he's conscious and I'm straddling him. She could imagine what he was thinking and could hardly blame him for it. She was intimately positioned as a woman astride her lover, knees on either side of his hips, her palms flat against his rock-hard stomach. She tensed and tried to scramble off of him, but his hands clamped around her thighs, pinning her there. He didn't speak, merely secured and regarded her. Billy King, hey! Yeah! 18 plus only. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Yes, this is very different than my normal cooking show, just so you know. This is the dark side of you. I hope you had a wonderful day. I haven't seen you on here in forever. People are sending me memes now. It's funny. They are. They are, Billy. G. So, oh. For real, what was that? Something just fell. I don't know what it was. Oh. Dummy. It was my jingle bells. They were hanging up from the ceiling. I had them up there on the little AC thing, and it slid off again. Oh my god, it scared me. I was like, what just happened? Oh my gosh. I can't see it. Uh-huh. Talk to listen to. Okay. Yep. Anyway, so I'm going to continue. Now I don't know where I live. Okay. She tensed and tried to scramble off of him, but his hands clamped around her thighs and pinned her there. He didn't speak, merely secured and regarded her, his eyes dropping to linger appreciatively on her breasts. When he slid his hands up her bare thighs, she seriously regretting having put on her shorts this morning. A slip of the lilac thong was all that was beneath them, and his fingers were toying with the hem of her shorts, perilously close to slipping inside. Hey, Jessie! I hope you're having a good day. Oh, you should have seen some of my other streams, honey. Go back and double check. If they're still on Twitch, I don't know. I don't know if Twitch has been deleting them or not, but yeah, you will like very much. So, you're just joining us. This is Until Bedtime Story. So, his heavy-lidded gaze reflected a languor that had nothing to do with having just awakened, and there was no doubt what was on his mind. But this is no safe cherry-picker, Gwen thought, growing more concerned by the moment. This man looks like a cherry tree chopper downer. Look, I was just about to get off of you, she babbled. I didn't plan to sit on you. I fell through a hole and landed on you. I was hiking and accidentally knocked my backpack down a crevice, and when I went to rescue, the ground gave way beneath me, and here I am. On that note, why didn't my falling on you wake you? More important, she thought. How long had it been since he was awake? Long enough to know that she had copped a few perverted feels. Confusion flickered in its mesmerizing eyes, but it said nothing. I'm usually groggy when I first wake up too, she tried a reassuring tone. He shifted his hips, subtly reminding her that she didn't wake up quite like him. There was something happening beneath her and the rest of him. It was in your face, male. When he smiled at her, revealing even white teeth with a slight cleft in his chin, the part of her brain that made intelligent decisions melted away like chocolate taffy left by the pool on a hot summer day. Her heart raced, her palms felt clammy, and her lips were suddenly parched. For a moment she was too stupefied to feel anything but relief. So this was mindless sexual attraction. It did exist, just like in the movies. Her relief was doused by anxiety when he dragged her forward against his chest, cupped her bottom with both hands, and ground her pelvis against his. He buried his face in her hair and thrust upward, rubbing against her like a sleek and powerful animal. A hiss of breath escaped her, an involuntary reaction to a surge of desire that was far too intense to be sane. She was drowning in sensations, the positive crush of his arms, the testosterone-laden scent of a man, and the sensual scrape of his shadow beard against her cheek when he caught the lobe of her ear with his teeth, and oh, that wildly erotic rhythm of his hips. He squeezed her bottom, kneading and caressing, then one hand slipped upward, lingering deliciously over the hollow where her spine met her hips, inching upward until he palmed the back of her head and guided her lips nearer his. Good morrow, English, he said, a breath from her lips. The words were delivered in a thick brogue that sounded roughened by too much whiskey and peat smoke. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. You feel like they're right there? Yeah, I tend to get sunburn really easily, especially if I'm in traffic or out in the sun ever. So, yeah. Yeah, right here. It stays that way. I can't help it. Unless I wore like a turtleneck all the time. Even in the winter, I'll get sunburn. Sucks. I have to wear like 150 proof sunblock or some crazy shit, like whatever the highest is. Oh, really? Well, Mike Chrisman to you too. Victor! Hello, Victor. Thirsty. Thirsty. Yeah. Yeah. Let me go, she managed, angling her face away from his. He fitted his erection snugly between her thighs, and a firm hand splayed across her bottom kept her locked precisely where he wanted her. He was rock hard and hot through the lightweight fabric of her shorts. Expertly he pressed against the most perfect spot nature that had bestowed upon a woman, and Gwen coughed to camouflage a moan. If he had treated her to a few more of those cocky strokes, she may have her first real orgasm without even sacrificing her cherry. Kiss me, he murmured into her ear. His lips grazed her neck. His tongue tasted her skin with a lazy sensuality. I am not kissing you. I can understand how you might have gotten the wrong impression, waking up to find me sprawled on top of you. But I told you that I didn't mean to land on you. It was an accident. Ah, kiss him, Gwen, clamored a 30 perky eggs. Shut up, she rebuked. We don't even know him. Until moments ago, we thought he was dead. That's no way to start a relationship. Who's asking for a relationship? Kiss, kiss, kiss. Her babies. Monster Jam! Hey, how are you? Hope you're having a good night. That's good to know. Oh my gosh, I just looked over and I was like, what is that face? Duh. It's one of those little Facebook like poppy uppy things. Tired? Are you tired or retired? You're kind of tired that you had yesterday. Come on now, John. I'm gonna give you one chance. Live now. Come on. Can't wait, huh? All right. Tired, or retired? Yeah, I already said that. All right, Alan. Alan Swain is in the house. All right, so hope you enjoyed my reading. Tonight is 18 plus bedtime stories, and it is a romance novel. And yes, we talk about sex. So if you don't like that, have a good night and sweet dreams. Monster Jam, my day was okay. I went downtown, and my internet kept messing up, so probably have like 3 or 4 versions of my downtown today, so it's all good. Okay. Lovely lass, kiss me. He planted a hungry, open-mouthed kiss in the sensitive area between her collarbone and the base of her throat. His teeth closed gently on her skin. His tongue lingered, sending chills up her spine. On my mouth. She shuddered at the velvety stroke, made her nipples purl against his chest. Uh, uh, she said, not trusting herself to say too much. Nay, he sounded surprised, and undeterred. He nibbled at the underside of her chin while splaying his hand intimately between the cleft of her behind. No, no way, nay, understand, and get your hand off my butt, she added with a squeal when he squeezed again. Ooh, stop that. Lazily he slid his hand up from her hips to her head, availing himself the opportunity to thoroughly caress every inch in between. Burying both hands in her hair, he gripped her near the scalp and tugged at her head gently back so he could search her eyes. I mean it. He arched a dubious brow, but to her surprise he proved to be a gentleman, and slowly relinquished his grip. She scrambled off of him, unaware that she had been lying on a slab of stone that was several feet above the floor of the cavern. She stumbled to her knees on the floor. He sat up on the slab gingerly, as if every muscle in his body was stiff. He swept his gaze about the cavern, shook his head with the vigor of a drenched dog casting off rain, and gave the interior of the cave a second and thorough glance. He flipped his long dark hair over his shoulder and narrowed his eyes. Gwen witnessed the precise moment the confusion of deep slumber quit his mind. The seductive gleam in his gaze faded, and he folded his muscular arms across his chest. He glanced at her with an expression both startled and angry. Hope y'all are enjoying this. I don't remember where I was now. Hold on. Okay. This is what happens when you stop reading like mid-paragraph. You end up losing your spot. I do not recall coming here, he said accusingly. What have you done? Did you bring me here? Is this witchery, lass? Witchery? No, she said hastily. I told you. I fell in that hole. She jerked her thumb up in the descension of the shaft of the sunlight. And you were already in here. I landed on you. I have no idea how you got here. His cool gaze roamed over the jagged opening, the loose stones and the dirt scattered around the slab, and the blood on her hands, her disheveled condition. After a moment's hesitation, he appeared to deem it a plausible story. If you did not come seeking for my personal attention, then why are you shamelessly attired? He said flatly. Perhaps because it's hot out, she shot back, tugging defensively at the hem of her khakis. Her shorts weren't that short. It's not like you have to see much on yourself. It's not like you have much on yourself. 'Tis natural for a man. 'Tis not natural for a woman to cut off her chemise at the waist and doff her gown. Any man would make such an assumption as I did. You are wantonly clad, and you are draped most intimately across my loins. When a man first awakens, it sometimes takes several moments before he starts thinking clearly. And here I thought it took several years. Perhaps a lifetime for an average man's intellect to kick in, she said snidely. Chemist? Doff? What? Monster Jam! Can't wait for your birthday? Be right back? Okay. I'll be here. I don't know if I would be able to do both, to be honest. It takes a lot of breath to be able to read now. Imagine that. He snorted, shaking his head again, vigorously enough that it was giving her a headache. Where am I? He demanded. In a cave, she muttered, feeling less than charitable towards him. First he tried to have sex with her, then he's insulted her clothing. Now he's behaving as if she'd done something wrong to him. And you should apologize to me. His brows arched with surprise, for waking up to half-clad woman laying atop me and thinking she wished me to pleasure her? I do not think so. And I am not simple, he chided. 'Tis clear I am in the cave, but what part of Scotland does this cave reside? Near Loch Ness, near Inverness, she said. She backed away from him a few steps. He blew out a relieved breath. By American, 'tis not too much of a finkel. I think I am but a few days and not as many leagues from home. American? Finkel? Who taught this man English? His brogue was so thick that she had to listen intently to decipher what he was saying, and even then not at all had made sense. Could the glorious man have grown up in some obscure Highland village where time stood still, cars were 20 years out of date, and old ways were manner of speech, were all revered? Where he was silent for several minutes, she wondered if perhaps he really was hurt in some way and had been resting in the cave. Maybe he struck his head. She hadn't explored that part of him. Damn near the only part you couldn't, she thought. Gwen scowled. Feels vulnerable in the cavern with the dark sexual man who accompanied too much space and was using more than his fair share of oxygen. His confusion was only adding to her unease. Illusion? Hello! How are you? That is correct. Okay. Hello and welcome. For those of you who are just joining us, we are having 18 plus romance novel reading bedtime story. Bear with me. I'm still recovering from COVID, so yes, my left lung tends to twitch and makes me cough. And half times I don't know how to say the words right. But enjoy. Should have brought another drink over here. You want to do some exploring too, huh? G. Why don't you show me the way out, and we can talk outside, she encouraged. Perhaps he'd be less attractive in the broad daylight. Perhaps it was merely the dim, confined atmosphere that the cave had made him seem so large and dizzyingly masculine. You vow you had nothing to do with how I came to be here? She raised her hands in a gesture that said, why don't you just take a good hard look at the little old me, and then look at you? There is that, he agreed, with a wordless rebuke. You do not amount to much. She refused to dignify his comment with a response. When he rose from the slab, she realized that, contrary to her initial impression, he wasn't wearing unfashionably long plaid shorts like some of the elderly tour mates had worn. He had a clad in a length of patterned fabric fastened about his waist. It brushed above his knees, and his feet and calves were encased in soft boots. She tipped her head back to look up at him, and, deserted by how he towered over her, blurted, how tall are you? She could have kicked herself when it came out sounding odd. Standing beside him, few people would amount to much. Although she'd never get involved with a man like him, it was impossible to remain unaffected by his incredible height and powerfully developed body. She shrugged, taller than a hearth. Oh no, he shrugged, taller than the hearth. The hearth? You can type with however many hands you need to. Or none at all. Either way. Sometimes you gotta use both hands. He stopped his intent pursuit of the cave and glanced at her. How am I to think with you chattering away? The hearth in the great hall, the one Dagus and I vied to outgrow. An expression of deep sadness crossed his face at the mention of Dagus. He fell silent a moment, and then shook his head. He never did. Missed by so much. He demonstrated the space of an inch with his finger and thumb. I'm taller than my father, and taller than the two stones at Bandra Cave. I meant in feet, she clarified. Speaking of the mundane gave her such a measure of calm. He eyed his boots a moment and appeared to be doing some rapid calculations. Forget it. I get the picture. 6.5 feet, perhaps taller, and to the woman 5'3" on her best day, daunting. She stooped and grabbed her backpack, sliding a strap over her shoulder. Let's go. Hold. I am yet unprepared for travel, lass. He moved a pile by the wall, which Gwen had thought it was a jumble of rocks. She watched nervously as he retrieved his belongings. He did something she didn't quite follow with the blanket thingy that he was wearing. Where part of it ended up over one shoulder. After fastening a pouch about his waist, he draped wide bands of leather over each shoulder so that they crossed in an X over his chest. These he secured at his waist with an otherwise wide band of leather that belted him snugly in place. Then he donned a fourth band that encircled his pecs. Well, hello. Good to know. I'll check it as soon as I get done reading, which is in about 30 more minutes. Was he dressing in some old costume? Gwen wondered. She'd seen something similar to his attire in a castle her group had toured yesterday, one of the medieval structures in the armory. Their guide had explained that the band's fashion and sort of armor adorned in critical places, such as above the heart, over the abdomen, with ornate metal discs. As she watched, he fastened similar leather bands that stretched from wrist to elbow around his powerful forearms. And I'll go ahead and tell you, fellas, you don't have to be sending no, special pics. Hands and forearms. Trust me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You'll thank me later. She stared in silence when he began tucking dozens of knives away, knives that looked alarmingly real. 2 went into each wristband, handled down toward his palm, 10 on each crossband. When he bent to the dwindling pile, he hefted a massive double-bladed axe. She flinched. Cherry tree chopper downer, indeed. Definitely not a man a woman could take any chances with. I'll be honest with you. 2 words come to mind. Thorin Bradley. Ladies, you're welcome. Actually, man lovers, you're welcome. Hey, John! Welcome, welcome, welcome. He raised an arm and lowered it behind his right shoulder, sliding the handle into the bands across his back. Last, he sheathed the sword at his waist. By the time he was done, she was aghast. Are those real? He turned to cool, silver gaze on her. Aye, you can scarce kill a man otherwise. Kill a man? She repeated faintly. He shrugged and eyed the hole above them and said nothing for a long while. Just when she was beginning to think he'd forgotten her entirely, he said, I could toss you that high. Oh, yeah, he probably could, with one arm. No, thank you, she said crossly. Small she might be, a basketball she was not. He grinned at her tone, but I fear that doing so might cause more rocks to collapse upon us. Come, we'll find the way out. She swallowed. You really don't remember when you came in? Nay, less. I'm afraid I don't. He measured her for a moment. Nor do I recall why, he added reluctantly. His response troubled her. How could he not know how or why I entered the cave? He entered the cave when he had obviously come in, removed his weapons, and piled them neatly before laying down. Did he have amnesia? Come, we must make haste. I care not for this place. You must put your clothes back on. Her hackles rose, and she barely resisted the urge to hiss like a cat. My clothes are on. He raised a brow, then shrugged. As you will. If you're comfortable strolling around in such a fashion, far be it from me to complain. Crossing the chamber, he took her wrist and began dragging her along. Gwen allowed him to tug her behind him for a short distance, but once they left the cavern, all light disappeared. He was guiding them by feeling a way along the wall of the tunnel, the other hand latched about her wrist, and she began to fear that they may plunge into another crevice, hidden in the darkness. Do you know these caves? She asked. The blackness was so absolute, it was crowding her in, suffocating her. She needed light, and she needed it now. Nay, but if you're telling me the truth, you fell through the hole, then you don't know either, he reminded. Have you a better idea? Yes, she tugged on his hands. If you'll just stop a moment, I can help. Have you a fire to light our way, we English? For 'tis what we sorely need. His voice was amused and irritated her. He'd taken her measure, deemed her helpless, and that pissed her off. And why did he keep calling her English? Was that the Scottish version of American? Perhaps they called people from England British. She knew that she had a trace of an English accent because her mother had been raised and schooled in England, but she wasn't that pronounced. Yes, I do, she snapped. You might be done by then. Lots of tugging. He stopped so suddenly that she ran into the back of him, striking her cheekbone on the handle of his axe. Again, she keeps smacking her face on stuff. Although she couldn't see him, she felt him turn, smelled the spicy male scent of his skin. Then his hands were on her shoulders. Where have you fire? Here? He sifted his fingers through her long hair. Nay, perhaps here. His hand brushed her lips in the dark. But if she hadn't clamped them shut, he would have slipped the tip of his finger between them. The man was positively outrageous, hell-bent on seduction, with a single-mindedness that had made her fear for her resolve. Hey, here, he purred, sliding his hand over her derriere, then yanking her against him. He was still erect. Unbelievable, she thought dazedly. He laughed, a husky, confident sound. I do not doubt that you have fire, and 'tis naught that might help us escape this cave, though it might be undoubtedly make it vastly more amendable. Oh, definitely mocking me now. She twisted away from his liberty-taking hands. You are so arrogant. Have all those steroids eaten away at your brain cells? He was silent a moment, and his lack of response unnerved her. She couldn't see him and wondered what he was thinking. Was he preparing to pounce on her again? Finally, he said so slowly, I do not understand your question, miss. Just forget it. Just let go of me. I can't get something out of my pack, she said stifly. She slipped it off her shoulder and thrust it at him. Hold this a minute. While she had been willing to discard her cigarettes, throwing away the perfectly good lighter that seemed wasteful. Besides, she'd quit before, and then she started again. She had to buy a new lighter every time. Rummaging in one of those external pockets, she sighed with a relief that her fingers closed on the silver brick. When she pressed the little button, he roared and leaped back, his heavy-lidded eyes glittering with the banked sensuality and widened in amazement. You do have fire. I have a lighter, she interrupted defensively. But I don't smoke, she hastened to add, not in the mood and certain disclaim of a man who was clearly an athlete of some sort. She had taken up smoking 2 years ago during the great fit of rebellion, right after she and her parents had quit speaking permanently, and then she ended up addicted. Now, for a third time, she quit, and by God, she was going to make it successful this time. I don't know how she could with all this going on. His fingers closed over the lighter, and he assumed possession of it. As she stood beside him in the darkness, as he took her lighter away and the flame flickered out, she sensed that he would do the same with anything he wanted. Casually assume possession, wrap his strong hands around it, and claim it. She was surprised when he fumbled for several moments before he managed to press the little button that released the flame. How could he not know how to use a lighter? Even a health fanatic would have seen someone Light a cigar or a pipe, if only on TV or in a movie. She suffered another attack of the shivers. When he resumed the pace, she followed him, the only alternative to remain by herself in the dark, and that was no alternative at all. English, said softly. Why do you call me that? You haven't given me your name, lass. I don't call you Scotty, do I? She said irritably, irritated by his strength, his arrogance, his blatant sexuality. He laughed, but it didn't sound like his heart was in it. English. What is the month? Oh boy. Here we go again, she thought. I did fall down one of those Alice rabbit holes. Alright. This very much sounds like me. I don't know why. So, we're at chapter 3, and we're 15 minutes away from closing up for tonight. What did you think so far? I want to hear what you think of this. And, let's see. So yeah. I think it's pretty good so far, but that's just me. I mean, it sounds a lot like me, and it sounds like the clumsiness of me, and my luck of running into somebody that's like supremely hot, and I don't like them. Find them pompous. I think it's like putting two doms in a room and trying to figure out which one like can handle the other. I don't know. I don't know. You know when you start off and you meet somebody and you don't get along for some reason, you're just like, all right, I already know I don't like you. But then you end up being like best friends somehow. I mean, how does that even happen? It just does. I don't know how. Better than Lorna Doone. Hell yeah, it is. Lorna Doone was ridiculous. It's a good read if you're like if you like books like that where it's like the double English stuff or broken English. But I'll be honest with you, like it was so exhausting to try to read that book yesterday. Oh my gosh. And I know it had to have been exhausting for you guys to hear it. Like I know it had to have been. So, yes, I agree. Lorna Doone, definitely a personal read, not an out loud read. That's funny. Well, it wasn't funny actually. It was kind of like really boring and long and annoying because it had like different languages in different languages on it. Yes. People keep asking me the same questions. Like, yes, I already answered your question. Sorry. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad for that. I'm glad it was working very good for you. Alright, now that I'm not reading these glasses, I have to take them off. It's like so yeah, what did you think? Did you like it? I hope you did, because I think I'm going to go to chapter 3 tomorrow night. I'm about to go off. So what do you think about this time every night? Toe Jam, you like it? I'm glad. Oh, it's raining. Like it literally just was like, I'm gonna be a little windy, and then now I'm just gonna rain. All right, so the book that I'm reading is Kiss of the Highlander. It's written by Karen Marie Moning, and we will be continuing on chapter 3 tomorrow evening. I'm gonna try around 10, see if that works pretty good, but we'll see. I don't know exactly if I'll be able to do tomorrow night actually, because I'll be downtown live. So we'll see. Okay. Rain in there too. It's like pouring rain. Monster Jam, hey! It's like raining so much now. I'm trying to make sure all of the messages are coming. I'm glad that I have like my phone set up separate over here, because then I can see Facebook and I don't have to like click back and forth. I'm slowly working it. Like it's slowly working. So I also have a question for y'all before I go up. Do you like, for the women lovers that are out there, do you like a woman that's like in the story? Do you think that you can handle a woman that's like in the story? Thank you, Monster Jam. I appreciate that. Thank you. And for the men lovers out there, do you think you could handle a big boy like that? I mean, a big boy. Because, I mean, she said he was like, I don't know, like 7 foot tall or something. Oh, my phone just died. No! Oh, I have it plugged in. Dang it. Oh, well, it's okay. I do want to show you one thing, though. You see it? I don't know. I don't know if you can see it really well. She's got it like all funky. My daughter drew that on me today. I love it when like people, I don't know, it's a weird thing that I like. I like when people draw on me. Like I've actually thought about like paying a tattoo artist or any artist really to just draw on me. Like I don't want it to be permanent. Like I don't care. I just want you to draw on me. And then I can change it up like whenever I want to. I thought it was so cute. It was like little angel wing clouds with a little halo, and I'm nothing like an angel, but you know, whatever. So, I'm glad you like it. I like it too. I don't know what she drew on my back. Hold on. Nope, maybe she didn't. I don't know. She was drawing on my back. Oh, wait, maybe there is something. Nope. Nope, nothing there. You can't wait for your birthday? Me either. I'm excited. I got so much stuff for it. We're going to have Monster Jam's birthday, not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday. We're going to have it live. Even though he'll be at a game, but that's okay. He might be able to watch it later, but still. We're going to have Monster Jam's birthday live. And I'm going to make him a cake. I'm also, let me review real quick because I got 10 minutes left. Just a quick review. Tomorrow, I'm at night. I'm doing downtown walkthrough distillery. Saturday night is in Mebane. I'm going to be doing a live show. Well, I'm not going to be doing a live show, but I'll be at a live show. I believe it's country music based. Sunday, I was thinking about going to the mountains and doing a P.O. box, but I just signed up again. I did this last year, and I'm going to do it again this year. And this time, last year I only did 10. This year I'm doing 100. Last year I did 10 inmates. This year I'm doing 100 inmates. We're going to be doing a Christmas project, and if you guys are interested, we'll be mailing letters to the inmates all across the nation. So I'm getting a list on December 1st of inmates that are looking for Christmas cards, etc. Just basically Christmas cards or letters, because they don't allow you to have like sparkly stuff and like extra stuff. I don't know. They only allow you to have the basics. So, yep. So I'll be writing Christmas letters to the inmates this year, and I don't know. I think I like it because I don't know. My handwriting sucks, so I might have to just type it. Okay. So P.O. box openings on Sunday. If you guys are interested in mailing me anything, my P.O. box is 5923, Statesville, North Carolina, 28687. Feel free to check out my other social media. I have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, OnlyFans, FetLife, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Pinterest, whatever. I don't even know any of the other ones. And if you can think of any that you'd like to see me on, let me know, because I will definitely sign up. And is the show over? About to be. I'm trying my best to go live every single day, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. And I think I like this 10 p.m. bedtime story. What do you guys think? I think 10 p.m. is pretty good. It's after the kids go to bed. Or, after the day is done, you finally lay them down, and you're laying down, and you're relaxing to go to sleep. And you get to listen to my voice. Mess up every single word that I can think of. Anyway, alright. So P.O. box openings and inmate letters. And it kind of sucks because I was really excited about making them all pretty and stuff for sending a picture with the sign. I don't know, I thought that would be kind of cool. Okay. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, please let me know. I'm going to try to shoot for Mondays because Monday's kind of like laid back. If you are a musician and would like your music played live, or if you're creative at all, or if you have a business that you would like for me to promote and you want me to come by and visit you guys live, then I will. I'd be more than happy to go live at your business if you have Wi-Fi that actually works and doesn't keep cutting me off. Wednesday at 10 a.m. I'll be at the gym, so there's lots of people there. And that way I don't have to worry about getting cut off. Next Thursday, I kind of left it open for Bev to decide, but I don't know. What do you guys think what I should do for next Thursday? Let me know what you think. Friday's open. I don't think I have much going on Friday. I'm working with a musician. His name is Fat Boy P. And if you want to, you can check out his Instagram or Facebook. I think he's also good at YouTube. I'm not sure. He's going to be a guest live this week. We're still trying to figure out like what day and stuff. What else? Saturday, 5 p.m. It's all you, Monster Jam. Saturday, the 20th at 5 p.m. I will be making a cake live for Monster Jam. It's 23rd birthday. And Sunday again is PO Box openings, and I don't know. I want to have it a little loose for that day because I don't know. I'm just going to kind of run with it at this point because it seems like it's too far. It's 2 weeks out. So I did get a bunch of little goodies today, and tomorrow on my 10 a.m. live, I will show you guys some of it if you'd like to join me. If you can't watch, that's fine. You can lurk and listen. I'm not offended at all. Feel free to comment or to share in my Discord or on my social media. I've always enjoyed the commentary and going back and forth and communicating with people as much as I can. So I really enjoy it. I hope that you enjoyed this live. It was not as sketchy as the last one. And if you'd like to hear me read some more of this book for next time that I go live, I'm not sure if I'm going to go live tomorrow though. Because I'm going to be Friday, maybe. I'm going to try my best to go live tomorrow. But we'll see. I'm not going to promise it. But yeah. Yep, I think that's it. If I miss anything, please let me know. Hopefully soon I can get a photography shoot in. That would be amazing. I've been talking with Leslie, my photographer, and so I'm hoping to get like a nice photo shoot in soon for the holidays. I do want to do like a regular one, and I also want to do like a boudoir shoot. I think that would be fun. So, naughty Santa list kind of stuff. Like a good list and a naughty list. The reason why I'm going to hell. Anyway, but I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And I hope that you think of me when you sleep tonight. And have a beautiful and happy thoughts whenever you come live with me. And maybe one day we'll meet for lunch. Because that's fine. I like to meet for lunch. On friend dates. Let me know what you think. And to answer your question, most likely. So, I think that's it. I don't think I missed anything. Yep, I think that's it. So, I hope you have a good night. And sweet dreams. Till next time.